Hello everyone, it's Fill That Gap here, and day is September 28th, 2020, and I'm going to be talking to you about my trades on PLL and OXBR. And the main outline in this video is pretty much being able to let your winners run and at the same time take profits when you need to, so you don't get too greedy and end up, losing your profits and possibly even more. So let's start with PLL. And so this stock was gapping up from $11 all the way up to $45 in the pre-market on news that they had a sales agreement with Tesla regarding lithium ion batteries. So this is relatively good news. The stock got up from $11 to $45, so it's up 30 points. And it could easily push higher into maybe even the 50s or even the 60s. But at some point, there's bound to be some profit taking to occur, especially when the stock is gapping up more than 200%. So my job as a short sell trader is to identify that weakness and be able to short into it and take profits along the way. So we'll see that here on this trade. I wasn't able to record my initial entries on PLL. I had already entered the position when I was in the pre-market before I started recording the video. So I started seeing that here. I have a 3630 average sitting under VWAP right now. The reason I entered the trade at this 36 level was because I saw a lot of rejections at the 38 level in the earlier in the pre-market. And so when I saw confirmation of those rejections, I started adding on the 37, 36 levels. Ended up getting a 3630 average. So kind of just hold on to it here. See what it does. In this position, I kind of held on to it for more than 30 minutes. Definitely more than 30 minutes. So I had to wait a while for this one to play out. Kind of just pretty much sits here the whole pre-market, and it starts dropping below the 35 right there, the level I was sitting at. It goes all the way to 34s, 3382. So we started covering at that weakness at 3406, and then some at 3457. So it's going below 34s now, 3350s. Got some more covers here at 3380. Start covering into the weakness. And that's pretty much a rule of thumb. If you're a short seller, that's when you would take profits, when the stock is weak and you start seeing it trek lower. Take cover on the weakness, not on strength. When it starts, try pushing back. That's typically when you just take, cut it all off when it starts going green, or you just take your loss. So we start seeing it pull a bit more here, below 33s. It's generally when I want to take my covers. Got some out there at 33.34 as it broke that 33.50 support level. Well, about 150 shares left. And getting ready to all out here. And I actually flipped it long here. Started with 50 shares right there, so about 100 shares. The reason I took it long was because 32 level was initial support earlier in the pre-market, so I wanted, and it was way below VWAP, so I wanted to see if it could try to bounce off that support level and try to retest VWAP. And see that play out here. So I have 150 shares now at 32.97. I want to see a push above the 33s for further confirmation. And so start seeing it hold here above 33. Got in a bit more. So we're 250 shares in now. Our 33.10 average. It kind of just sits here for a bit. Doesn't really do much. So I added a bit more at 33. It does pull here. Oh, yep. This is when it pulls, breaks 32. Goes all the way to a 31.87 here. Sorry for the recording, it's kind of scratchy because I fast forwarded it. But we start seeing the bid drop all the way to 31.87 here. Offers at 31.99. So around this area, I was contemplating on just cutting my loss, but it was still at that pre-market support level. So I wanted to see what it would do there, if it could at least just bounce. So I kind of held on to it a bit longer. And sure enough, we start seeing a bounce above the 33s right here, 33.27. Big spreads, dollar spreads. But the bids start pushing above 33s here, as you can see that. We start holding the 33s. And then I got some more there at the 33.20. Right, as it kept holding that 33s, looked like it was curling here. And it starts pushing. You see a 33.64. So we're up more than 50 cents already. We're looking nice. We're gonna let our winner run now. Let it push a bit higher. I actually got out a point into it at 34.14. I just wanted to secure my profit, start securing it. Some more there at 34. And we start seeing a 35.30s on it. Starts pushing the 35s. So I'm looking to just get out here. Not be greedy with it and take my profits. And we fully got out there. So it's around 30 minutes before market opens. We're up 1900 already on the ticker. 500 shares going long and going short. So we're not done yet though. Market still hasn't opened. And so we got that rejection off the VWAP. So I'm thinking of possibly entering another short position for further weakness, because it has maintained under VWAP the entire, not the entire, but for a lot of times, or most of the duration of its pre-market, maintained under VWAP. So, which is a generally weak sign, but could easily trap shorts and just rip higher. So I was careful here. Had 50 shares at 34.51. Just letting it rip now because it's only 50 shares, $100. So just let it run on me. Alright, so we start seeing 38s. 38 was big resistance earlier in the pre-market. Rejected it a bunch of times. So I wanted to see how it would react at that 38 level. Added a bit more there at 36.86. A little earlier. And then on that rejection at the 38, I added some at 37.30s. Because we were rejecting 38. So I was risking like around 38.50 on this trade. Even the 39s was definitely an out at this point if it ripped higher. But it really didn't go over 38.50 or just anywhere above 38. Kept rejecting there, so added some more short on that rejection at 38, at 37, and 37.54. Now have a 36.90 average on this, and we're gonna see if it starts going our way. Yep, we start getting in the money here. And we're gonna skip a little bit because it kind of just sits here for a bit, and it starts dropping below VWAP. So we're already 90 cents into the money. So we're 90 cents into the money now, and we're in a winning position because it just went under VWAP, which is a pretty good sign of weakness already. So we're gonna let our winner run on us. We started seeing a bit of bounce here, but I still had my stop set at that 38 level, and which was a pre-market resistance, and never really went above it. So keep holding into the position here. Seeing some rejection there at the 37.50s. And boom, big pull right there. Goes to 36. So it kind of already double topped right there. The span of 15 minutes, which is looking really nice on the short. Seeing more weakness at that area at the 37s. So we start going lower. Bids start dropping. Goes below the 36s. So we're getting ready to take some cover on further weakness on the downside. But we want to let it run a bit more because we're only 90 cents in. I could take 90 cents. It is almost 400 bucks, but with the range the stock's been having, I was a bit more patient with my taking profits. Let it give me more. You start seeing the 35s go under. I think this is where I start covering here when it starts breaking down below 35.50s. And 35s, took some cover there at 35.10. About to get some more out here. And further weakness in the 34s. We start going below 34s. Got out on a bit of a bouncer at 35s for 100 shares. We start bouncing a bit. Going to 35.30s. And I kind of just sit here and wait, see what it does. Still have half the position open. We had a 36.90 average. So I am getting ready to exit if it starts curling and going higher. Then it starts getting rejection at the 35.30s, and I see the bids start dropping. And then intraday, I start seeing a small little H pattern form here. So I added back onto my shorts at this 35 level when I see this H formation forming. And then once we got that rejection at the 35.30 level. So I got some filled there at 35. Trying to get some more here at 35.1. And as soon as we entered at 35, it starts pulling on us, which is really good. So it's going to 34s. Getting ready to break the 34s. Took some covers there at 33.89. 2 points in. You start going. The bid starts dropping below 33.50s. Start going below 33.50s. Took some cover there at 33.42 once it started dropping. Goes to 32s. See, this is why we cover on the weakness. Start covering on the weakness right here. They can easily just bounce. We took some covers at 32s. Now it's at 33s, 34s. See how easily it can just bounce on you? That's why it's important. Just take covers, take partials, take money when it's there, because you don't know what's going to happen the next minute. So you start seeing it push here. Start trying to retest VWAP again. And this is when I fully got out of the position here. When it retested VWAP, it tries retesting VWAP. So I got out there at 35. Made about 1,100 bucks on the trade in the pre-market. This is 3 minutes right before the market opened, and I closed it like this close. What's it called? This at this time, because generally when market opens, especially with a stock this hot, it can really just go any 50-50, either up or down. So I didn't want to have a position going into the open. I wanted to wait for confirmation on what the stock would do at the open for playing it. So let's push it forward here. So this is when market's about to open here. Play the video. So we're sitting here at 36. I'm about to resume it to real time. So market's just open, holds 37. This is in real time right now, and it just pushes right to 39. That 38 support, it was nothing. It was like nothing. That's why I didn't want to hold on to any positions at the open, because it could just go either ways, up or down, rip on you or dump on you. So we start seeing it hold the 40s here, and it gets halted, upside halted at 40.33. So let's fast forward until, I don't know, it's 5 minutes later. Right. And I'm going to play this in real time because I do enter some trades here right at this open. So stuck on halts at 41. Start seeing it push higher here. Start retesting 44. Get a full back to 40s. Now, since that 40 was holding, in my mind, I wanted to go long around this area and push it above the pre-market highs, which is 46, and then rip higher. So I took a starter long there at 42.84, pretty bad fill, and it just pulled 2 points right on me. You start seeing it grind a bit more at this level. Start seeing some momentum push. Pretty sure this is where I try to enter my position here. And I tried entering on that push, see if I could push higher. And right as I entered at that 42.77 area for 250 shares, it just dumps immediately on me. You'll see it here. Drops below the 40 like it was nothing. Goes into 37.98. It's about to get halted here on the downside. And keep in mind, this is playing real time right now. So in my mind, I have 300 shares long. I'm down almost 5 points on the trade. I'm thinking, what do I do here? Do I cut it? Do I flip it? You know, and I do end up cutting it here and flipping it short because typically, from my experience, I've noticed that if it's about to get halted on the downside, it generally likes to check lower. So I took the risk of just cutting the loss here on the long side and flipping it short. So you'll see that here it gets held a little bit here at the halt level. My position's all out there. So I ended up taking a $1,400 loss on the long side. And we're now 450 shares short at 37.98. Just fat fingered the bid. So it's about to get halted here, and I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit. Okay, so this is real time. The stock gets unhalted here at 37, so our entry's at 37.50. Right away, we start seeing the stock bounce right off VWAP, pushing at 38.86 and at 39. So I took a 100 share cover to limit my exposure on this push because it could just push higher into the 40s again. So I took some off there at 38.89. And then once I saw that rejection back right into 37s, I added right back on at 35.47. And no, that was not fast forwarded. That was real time right there. This is a very fast moving stock. You start seeing it drop below 35s immediately. You have a 37 average. So kind of let it run a bit here. Gonna show me what it wanted to do. I'm gonna speed it up because I stay in the trade for a few minutes and just let it grind out on me. Grind lower. You start seeing it pull, more sellers come in. Starting to hold under VWAP, which is really nice for the panic pop short setup. It starts pulling harder, trying to break pre-market support at that 33s, 34 area. So I kept holding, see if it would break. Trying to get a bounce off the VWAP there. It gets rejected, so I kept holding. and took some covers there once it finally started breaking below the 33.50s. Got some out at 33.50 right there. We start seeing some more rejection on the upside. And you start seeing it start pushing to VWAP, so I do get ready to close out here. I ended up closing 250 shares at 36.89 right before it's about to cross VWAP, because I was anticipating for it to push higher now because it looks like it was curled, but then it rejected right off VWAP, so I added back on at 35.16. So kind of lost a bit there on my average. I had a 37 average earlier, and ended up lowering it to 35. So I lowered my average there, but that's fine because the stock starts pulling on us there. Even though we entered again at the 35, we're already in the profit, the 33s, and on our exit, we never really took a loss there. We were still in profits. We had a 37.40 average, so we kind of just gave back profits by not covering a little lower, which is fine. No problem there. We start seeing it drop below 33s. Taking some cover there. No, I did not take some cover there. I wait a little bit further. Take some covers. And kind of just let it grind here. I'm going to skip a bit because it kind of just grinds this level for a bit. And this is when it started dropping below the 32.50s. That was the big support that we needed to break. So once we broke that 32.50s is when I started taking covers. Oh, here it comes. Getting ready to break that support. This is what I'm talking about when you let your winners run. So we had our entries at 35, 34, and we had our parameters set that it was a quote unquote winner as a short position because it's already under VWAP. And I identified that there was a lot of selling, more sellers going on, so sellers were pretty strong. And you can see that because the stock keeps trekking lower. Drops over 32s now. And then we start seeing it drop below the 30s now, seeing more weakness. We start seeing it pull here, taking some covers at the 31.30. Start seeing it try to curl. So this is what I mean by covering on a weakness. There we go. Start seeing it pull high, lower. Always gonna secure those profits. We start seeing it bounce. So I pretty much just sits for a while. And boom, there we go. We start dropping below the 30s now, and this is me covering to the weakness. So we got some covers there at the 29.05. Securing profits here, below the 30s. And I'm right there, pretty much fully out on PLL there. At 29.50 was the last cover for made 2,300 bucks on that trade from the 34 average. initially 37, but we played around with it, played around with our averages, scaled in, scaled out. You know, with a stock like this, you generally don't want to be in a position for too long. You want to be very liquid with it, in and out, in and out. Secure your profits when it's there. That's what we were doing here with our scalps. And then so after this trade came OXBR, which was it was up from $1.50 at the open, and it pushed all the way to 9 on no news. So that hit all the parameters for my my short setup. So all I had to do was just try to wait for a weakness on it and then short on it. But I got a little how would you say this? I kind of jumped the boat a little too early here on BDR. So let me the video here. So the stock is already at this is the second time it's been halted on the upside. The halt fest algo that I've mentioned in my previous videos, where it would hold it under the halt level and then push it higher, was present on this stock. So I kind of just let it push higher. And then on the first unhalt, it looked like it was topping out around 650. So I started shorting a bit on that 6 area. Ended up getting a 666 average for 350 shares. And had some ads right before it halted too. So it's gonna get unhalted soon here. I'm gonna play it in real time. So it gets unhalted at 822 from 8. I have 350 shares. We're down 2 points. The reason I didn't cut when when I was already down 2 points here is because I initially I wanted to get in 1,500 shares to position. So 350 to 1,500 is generally a small part, small part of that position. So I was fine with letting it push up a bit on me, even though it was very extended on the upside and going parabolic, because it was up on no news. And generally with stocks that are up on no news, they'll just go right back down. So I was convicted that this would just end up dumping. And I had to be patient with the rest of my entries because I was already in it for 350 shares. So I kind of just had to hold on for a bit. So I let it push higher on me to 9s now. It gets held at 962. So I'm like, all right, I should get out if this pushes any higher than 962. But I do see that rejection. Keep in mind this is in real time, so that was a pretty fast rejection there at 962. So I keep holding it there on that rejection. It goes below the 9, so I'm like, all right, we could see a top in here. And then again, it pushes right again to 962. So in the back of my head, I'm saying, all right, if it pushes any higher than this, because the algo is still kind of present here, the one that would hold it under. So if it pushed above 962, once this halt level clears, I would definitely get out, because who knows how much higher it can go. But it doesn't. It rejects here at 962 again. So it's going at the 880s, and then boom, right there it goes. The bid just drops from 962s all the way to 814 in a matter of seconds. So I'm like, oh, okay, that could definitely be the topping there. Guys, there's a big sell. So you start seeing it drop below 7. I started adding on to my position at the 8s and the 880s on that rejection. And so we're about 950 shares in now. I just keep adding. I'm fat fingering the bid basically right now as the stock is going down. That's why it's just going really fast. That is real time. Yes. Yeah, look at that go. So I'm in at 1450 shares at 750 average now. We kind of see it sit here for like a few seconds. Seeing some topside resistance at 775. It's still looking good on me. Hold it under 750, and right there drops right at the halt level at 680. This is where it gets halted now. Yep. And with this trade, it was basically just showcasing how you add on to a winning position. Like, although we weren't winning at first, we had a very bad average at with a 666 average. we saw the stock start going downward, so our direction. So that's why I started shorting. We started seeing it pull. So, and the stock gets halted for more than 20 minutes, and it ends up unhalting at around $5. We'll see it here. So stock gets unhalted around 550s. So I seen it go 540s from our 750 average. Took some covers there, mostly right when it dropped to around 6, below 6s, were most of my covers. Couldn't really get any bounces above 6, so I just started taking cover. And yeah, that's pretty much the trade right there, from 750 all the way down around 5s. So banked more than a point on that one. 2,400 with 1,500 shares. And then on PLL, we made 5,400 using 500 shares, initially taking a $1,400 loss on the long side. So overall, pretty good day. And it's generally why you don't want to, let your losses get to you, because we did end up taking a few losses on this trade. But that's a part of trading. You can't really avoid that. It's all part of the game. That's perfectly fine. As long as you just focus on the executing the best trade possible, the money will come. That's pretty much what we did here. Great RRs on OXBR. With the most we were ever down was 1,400 on the long side, and that was pretty much just out of our control because we just got dumped like 5 points. It's just kind of an outlier. But with our usual trades, we were less than I was down at most like less than $500. So really good RR here on PLL as well as OXBR. At most, I was probably down around 700, 800 on OXBR. So we still had at least 2-to-1, 3-to-1 RR here on OXBR. So overall, good day. So yeah, hopefully you guys learned something from this video, and yeah, subscribe, like. See you guys next time. Bye bye.